welcome to DIY Hair School, and today I am going to show you how I curl my hair, my fine, flat, boring hair for maximum volume. First thing you want is a clip, so you can clip your hair up into sections. You are going to want some heat protection because we're going to be using heat on our hair and you always want to protect your hair, and you are going to need a curling wand. You could use a curling iron as well, but I prefer a wand because I don't like messing around with the clip. And if you are worried about burning your fingers, you can absolutely use a heat glove. They usually come with one. I'm so used to using it without. I do burn myself, but I kind of am just used to it, and I find it a bit finicky with the glove. I don't like to work with the glove on, but that's your call. I can't tell you exactly what this flat iron is. It is a Mika brand, but I have had it for ages, probably like 6 years, something like that. And the size, it is about a 1 inch, and it goes down to probably about a 3/4 inch. It's a little bit smaller on the end. That's not necessary for this. You don't have to have one that starts out thicker and gets thinner. Anything between 1 inch and 3/4 of an inch is gonna work for this look. Anything smaller is gonna give you more curl. Anything a bit bigger is gonna give you looser curl that's gonna end up being a little more wavy than curly. So anything between 1 inch and 3/4 of an inch is what I find optimal if I want to create a lot of volume and a fair amount of curl that's not just soft waves in my hair for fine hair that is medium to shorter length. I don't turn it all the way up. I have mine at around 350 degrees, I think it is. I don't put it all the way up to 410 because for most people that's simply not necessary, and you're just more likely to burn your hair that way. So let's get started. We are going to start with heat protection. Any heat protection is absolutely fine. Whichever one you want to use is going to protect your hair, then that's the one you should use. The one I am using today is the Evolve Super Finish Polishing Balm. I like this one because it has heat protection and it has UV protection if I'm out in the sun, and it also keeps my hair soft and shiny. So I just put a bit in my hands, I rub it through, and then I just rake this all through my hair. Because we have fine, thin hair, we can kind of put our heat protection all on at once. If you are here and you do have thick hair, you probably want to section out your hair into a few sections, and just to make sure that you're not just getting heat protection on the top and the bottom of your hair, that it is getting inside. But if your hair is not super thick, like mine, then you can definitely put it all on in one section. So now we're going to section out a bottom section of hair. I don't take super tiny sections. That's not necessary. They also don't have to be perfectly, perfect straight lines. Just clean sections in the sense that you want to get all the hair that you're not doing clipped up out of the way, and all the hair that you are doing can be left down so you can see from the back. It's fairly medium-sized section, I would say, for thickness-wise, density-wise. The smaller your sections are, the more curly your curls are going to be. The larger chunks of hair you're going to take, the bigger and looser your curls are going to be. So, or you just might have to, if you take bigger chunks, hold it on your hair longer to create the curls. So I like to create sections that are about a medium density, and then I'm going to take chunks of hair that are 1 to 2 inches wide from the base, which is right here. So 1 inch would look something like this, maybe a little bit less, and you could go up to a little bit more, making it more like 2 inches if you really wanted to. And what we're going to be doing is wrapping our hair around like a ribbon. So what we want to do, I will show you with the handle of my brush here. We want to keep the section flat. You can brush through it, make sure there's no tangles. We want to keep that section flat when we wrap. So it's wrapping around like a ribbon, flat like this. What you want to avoid is it wrapping around and looking like this kind of like twisted hair wrapped around. Both are going to create curls, they're just going to create very different curls. And for this big volume look, we want to create ribbon curls. So we want to keep that section flat as we wrap it around we're looking for that hair to look flat like a ribbon. Do not worry about what direction you curl your curls in. We'll worry about the top when we get to the top, but forwards, backwards, does not matter. However you can make it happen, all right? So let's get into the curls. One thing you want to make sure you do is, because we're trying to create volume, we want to avoid having a ton of curls, but still our hair being flat on top. And the best way to avoid this is to make sure that when you are curling, you are getting nice and close to the roots, getting really close to your head. So I will show you what that looks like a little bit more when I get to the front, but you want to curl as close to the root as possible. You obviously don't want to hold it up against your scalp and burn yourself, but you don't want to keep space between the roots of your hair and the curling wand or curling iron. Now, some people get really worried when they're creating their curls that not every single curl comes out looking the same. Sometimes one's more curly, sometimes one's a little bit more loose, but honestly, we're not going for perfect Shirley Temple ringlets here. And we are going to be pulling a lot of it out and creating a lot of volume with it. So as long as you get curls in and they're not like chunks that are completely straight, then don't worry too much about it. You don't have to be 100% anal about how your curls look at this point. You just want to get curls in your hair. So let me show you here about getting it close to your scalp. So you want the barrel really close to your head like that. Now you can start farther away like this and wrap, and then you can bring it closer as you go to your scalp, or you can just simply start close to your scalp. You do want to be careful around your ears here because it's very easy to burn the top of your ears. But you really want that curl starting right up here, as close to the scalp as possible. It doesn't matter which way you curl it. We're gonna get it right snug in to the scalp. Because I'm holding the ends with my fingers, I definitely leave an inch to a half an inch out on the ends. Totally fine. You don't need the ends to fully finish that curl. It will look fine if you leave a little bit straight at the very ends to save your fingers. When you get towards the top, you want to make sure you leave this kind of mohawk section, as we call it, for last. Even if the section before it ends up being quite thin, we want to leave a thin sort of mohawk section right down the center of the head for last, because that is where we are going to create the majority of our volume. So now this is the most important part of creating the look of a ton of volume in your hair. When we get to this mohawk section, what we want to do with this section, make sure, because you've been clipping it up the entire time, that you give it a good brush so we are nice and tangle free. And we are going to go sections straight across. Don't worry about where you're going to part your hair. It's not going to matter anyways once you're done. And we are going to create the curls horizontally across the top of our head and as close to that root as humanly possible without burning ourselves. So here I like to try and go back with this one just so that I get that nice like bump, but of course if you find it easier to roll this one forward, it is a bit easier to roll that back one forward. Just go with that, because whatever is going to produce the easiest curl and you're not going to burn yourself is what you should do. But if you do find this is okay, we are going to roll this back nice, flat curl. This section for me is a little on the thicker side, so I'm just going to hold it a few seconds longer than my other sections. But even though these sections are quite wide, they are still relatively thin as long as you don't take too big of a chunk of hair each time. So once you feel that hair getting reasonably hot to the touch, you know you can let it go. So you're going to create that there. And then for my next one, I will typically try and curl it the other way if I can. So this one I am going to curl forward, again, keeping that curling iron or flat iron, or not flat iron, we're not flat iron curling today. Your curling iron or your curling wand close to your scalp without burning. And I'm going to do this one back. This one came out a really thin section, so I'm not going to hold it too long. If you do come up with a thin section, don't hold it as long because you will be more likely to burn your hair. Yeah, this one, I think I'm going to break it into two sections. You could probably do this as one, but I want to get lots and lots of curl, and the smaller your sections, the more curly. So I'm going to do this one forward, and I will do the last one back and away from my face. All right, so all the curls are now in, and as you can see, I tried my best not to touch anything while it is still warm. So you're just gonna feel around your hair, and this section for me is still warm, so we're just gonna wait until it is completely cooled. I'm gonna try my best not to touch anything until the curls are completely cool, because if you do touch them when they're warm, you are likely to pull out some of that curl, and you are going to lose volume. So let's just wait for it to cool. Now the hair is completely cool, we can finish with the styling. I am going to use a little bit of dry texture powder. You can use a dry texture spray like the Surfer Girl by Sexy Hair and spritz it. Or you can use one like the Design Me, Puff Me Volumizing Powder, which is the one I'm going to use today. And both are available in my Amazon storefront and are my two most used dry volumizing products. So I am just going to go through and just generously puff this all through my hair. Keeping in mind, the more you add, the more volume you'll have, but the more product you'll feel. At these top sections, I'm going to go in and put quite a bit of powder right at the roots of each section and all around my face, because that is where I like the absolute most volume, and then in my crown. And then we're going to shake it out. I try not to do too much raking because I want to pull out as little curl as possible, but I don't want to keep those big curly clumps either. So because you did a horizontal parting at the top, you can flip your part wherever you want. I go somewhere towards the middle. I don't stick too far in the middle. Because we went straight across our roots, we're going to get all of this volume and lift through the root area and the top of our head, and it just gives volume every single time. If you want to add a little bit of extra volume, you can go in with a comb, a wide tooth or a small tooth comb like this, and simply take small sections of the hair and just add a little bit of teasing. We're not trying to create big tangly, 80s mess here, but just doing that will help give you even more fullness and roundness and just perk up those curls. And because you have the dry texture powder in your hair will stay where you put it for the most part. Obviously, if you go out in a windstorm or keep playing with your hair, some of that volume will fall, but the dry texture powder is very good at helping our hair texture, very fine, flat hair, hold. And you get all of this amazing lift through the root area instead of this flat and then curly look. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments and I will do my best to answer or make a video just for you. Check out my Instagram and my TikTok for daily content, and like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos, because I do post 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Bye.